The UNCP football team suffered its first loss of the season after a 3-0 start. A big first half by the North Greenville Crusaders led to a 40-17 loss for the Braves. On the pitch, Courtney Crump recorded the program's first hat trick in nearly 3 years as the Braves women's soccer team won their 4th straight, taking down Clayton State 3-1. Janae Aiken was also key to the Braves' success. She had 9 saves. On the men's side, also at Clayton State, it was a 2-1 loss. Josh Phelps scored the goal for the Braves, and keeper Kenneth Perkinson recorded 10 saves. The women's golf team finished 3rd out of 14 teams at the Lady Bearcat Invitational. Ashley Thompson led the way, shooting 4 under par in her final round to finish 3rd. The men's cross-country team saw 7 newcomers make their season debuts at the Bulldog Stampede, including 5 who ran in their first collegiate race. UNCP finished 17th as a team. And a double-double by Nicole Matthews was not enough as volleyball fell 3-1 at Armstrong State. The Black and Gold Report starts now. Welcome to another edition of the Black and Gold Report presented by Pepsi, a show all about UNC Pembroke athletics. I'm Cameron Songer, and this week we're talking to Braves head football coach Shane Richardson about last week's action at North Greenville and this weekend's homecoming game against Tuskegee. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Cameron.
All right, let's get right into the action. The Braves had their 4-game win streak snapped and suffered their first loss of the season with a 40-17 setback at North Greenville Saturday in South Carolina. Before we get into breaking this game down, what are your thoughts coming out of this one?
I think there's a lot of learning lessons to be taken from it, obviously. Very disappointed with the outcome, of course, but there were some really good things to build on from start to finish. We did not start the way that we wanted to. The first half was really kind of a disaster, so to speak. And, you know, going into the locker room at 34-0, it was really, really disappointing to see our team start that way. And what we needed to do was we needed to go into the locker room, and I told them, you know, if we look at the scoreboard from here on out, it's going to be extremely embarrassing. I know we're embarrassed right now, but you've got to focus on one play at a time, and we've got to take a little sense of pride here to kind of get ourselves back into a rhythm and find some success on both sides of the ball and be able to really create something here. And I think they did that, and that was really good to see. Our team didn't give up, and we had a better second half than we did the first half, and so I was pleased to see that. But we can't allow the first half to get away from us like that again, and so we've got to learn from it.
Yeah, about that first half, the Crusaders racked up more than 350 yards in the first half and scored 5 times that 34-0 lead into the locker room. What did you see in the first half from your team that maybe you didn't see in the first half of some of the other games earlier this season?
I thought we lacked the competitive juices that was required to go up against a good opponent. And not that we haven't played good opponents, but I thought North Greenville was going to come out hungry after suffering a loss at Newberry like they did the week before. And they did. They came out with some hunger, some desire, some fire to them, and I don't think we matched that. I don't think that our competitive spirit was as good as what it needed to be right there in the beginning of that game, and I think North Greenville came out. They kind of hit us in the mouth a little bit, and we maybe just kind of stayed right there, and we didn't really come back with the fire that I expected us to.
Well, penalties are a big factor in this game. UNCP was flagged 15 times for 88 yards against North Greenville, including 8 false start penalties that really hampered a handful of your possessions. How frustrating is it for you as a coach to see focused penalties such as those, and what do you do in practice to kind of fix that moving forward?
Extremely frustrating to see that, and we talk a lot about discipline in the sense of doing what you're supposed to do when it's supposed to be done and doing it that way all the time. And regardless of circumstances, regardless if the defense is giving you different looks or we're going on a different snap count or you're a little bit uncomfortable in your stance, whatever the case may be, we were very undisciplined. And it was quite embarrassing to see that many false starts because it's a dead ball foul. nothing's going on, the play isn't even going on, and we're not able to sit in there and go on our own snap count. And so this week in practice, we will certainly address that. We'll address it in individual drills. We'll make sure that we hold them accountable when we get into team session drills, and we'll make sure that we're creating an environment that assimilates, movement in front of you and being able to take that in stride and fix those.
5 of your possessions in the first half went for 3 plays or less. Those 3 and outs can really be killer. What are some of the reasons your offense had trouble sustaining drives?
Well, I think going back to our false starts, there were some penalties and there were some drop balls also that our receivers and our skill guys should have caught that could not sustain putting us in a situation where we could get ahead of the sticks. And it seemed like we were really in some long yardage situations a lot of the time, and that's just hard to do. You've got to be able to create some momentum with the sticks in your favor and be able to get in some short yardage situations to make it very manageable, and we didn't do that. We shot ourselves in the foot on offense in the first half, and we need to be able to just take one play at a time to move the ball and be productive.
After surrendering 355 yards in the first half, Code Black gave up just 110 yards in the second half. You kind of talked about this a little bit. What were some of the adjustments that were made at halftime, and how do you feel the defense responded in the third and fourth quarters?
Some of the adjustments that we talked about were we need to focus one play at a time, and don't worry about how many points are on the board right now. Don't worry about what they're doing, because we had seen a lot of what they did, but we needed to make sure that we just focused on taking some pride and being competitive and not giving up and going out and just focusing on one play at a time. And that's all we tried to do. And the guys did buy into that. And so, in the second half, I thought we did come out a lot better. We were able to get off the field on third down. We didn't give up as many big plays in the second half, and it only led to 1 touchdown in the second half. We did have a busted coverage there. But I was very proud of how we responded defensively in the second half, and that's a great tribute to our leaders on defense and those guys buying into our message that we gave them.
Absolutely. Well, we need to take our first break here on the Black and Gold Report. When we come back, we're going to dive deeper into this game with Shane Richardson. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Black and Gold Report presented by Pepsi, here with head football coach Shane Richardson. Coach, let's get right into the highlights, breaking down the game action this past weekend.
Sure thing. Here we've got our SEAL unit, which is our kickoff return unit, and we've been really, really close on this team for the last few weeks, and you can see Taryn Huffman here. One of our skill guys on offense, he's able to get it up the sideline and give us a very productive gain there. He's been very competitive on special teams all year long thus far. Defensively right here, we're in a situation where we were able to check out of a blitz and go to a coverage after they kind of saw what we were going to do, and Mike Keck comes up with a big sack right there. Very good third down for us in the second half. Right here we're blitzing off the edge. Chris Phipps, an outside linebacker for us, makes a nice play on the quarterback and is able to stop him there. And then here you'll see a throw down the field where Kendall Jacobs, our safety, is able to be in position to make a play. We didn't have many of those plays all night and not many hands on the ball, but there was one right there that he could get his hands on. Andrew Goodman came in at quarterback and did a nice job of a couple plays. We had some specialized runs for him up the middle, and you can see he did a good job with that. We get down on the goal line and we line up in a heavy set, and Pat O'Brien gives a little bit of a naked look there where he comes out the backside and hits Dylan Davis, which is a nice play for us to score on. In the punt return game, B.J. Bunn, with the ball in his hands, makes a couple guys miss and then gets right up the middle there and gets very good positive yards for us. That's certainly a big help in gaining field position there and helping the offense to start in a place of being able to go take it in and score. Here, Pat O'Brien and B.J. Bunn again connect, and B.J. is a guy that has had a touchdown, I believe, in every game this year so far, and he welcomes the ball in his hands, and I think Pat looks for him, and they've got a great connection together, and so we need to keep that going.
All right, well, let's dive into this game sort of starting from the beginning. Opening possession, North Greenville fumbled the ball away, but the Crusaders scored touchdowns on 5 of their next 6 possessions to take a 34-0 lead with just under a minute left in the second quarter. Were the Crusaders throwing anything at you that maybe you didn't expect to see from them?
I thought they were good schematically coming in, and I think they had a few tweaks for us that they maybe had seen on film that they could attack some of our sides of our defense that maybe we didn't adjust very well to right away. But then looking back at the film and kind of digesting it a few times over and over, I thought there were a lot of things that we could have controlled too that we did not do. They were a very good football team, very well coached. I thought they came out and played with great intensity and enthusiasm, and I don't think we matched that, along with just a couple plays that we were out of position on, and they were able to hit them on us. And so I don't know that I would say it was something that we never saw before. We've seen a lot of those plays, but it was something that certainly we needed to adjust quicker on and make sure that we were in better position on.
The Braves went 3 and out on 4 of their first 5 drives of the first half. We put together a 10-play drive midway through the second quarter that unfortunately ended on an interception. Despite turning the ball over, did you begin to sense that your offense was finding its rhythm at that point?
I thought they did a good job there, and it felt more comforting to see that we were executing and moving the ball down the field. That is something we've talked about a lot the last couple weeks, is finding a rhythm and making sure that we're moving the sticks and making sure that we're putting ourselves in a position to just keep churning out yards and setting us up for the next play. And they did that on that drive, and it was good to see. And I think it just went along with executing what we wanted to do in the second half, and that's one play at a time and just focus on doing your job. And that was great to see that in that drive, and I was really proud of them for putting that together.
Well, right before halftime, North Greenville added some momentum for themselves right before the half by converting that turnover into more points. That lead ended up being 34-0 at halftime. What did you say to your team in the locker room at halftime?
Yeah, so we talked a little bit earlier, but I really challenged them to just, everyone needs to man up and do your job. And if we have one guy, two guys here and there getting out of position and not doing what they're responsible for, then it's going to be a long night versus good teams. And that's what we saw. We challenged the guys to just take it one play at a time. We're not going to look at the scoreboard. We're going to look at our effort. We're going to look at what we can control. And, I told them if we have anyone lay down here, it's going to be a long week of practice, and that's not going to be good for any of us. And we didn't lay down, and I was proud of them for responding. And I thought they did a fantastic job of just taking some pride and some ownership, and they don't want to perform that way either. And so I think they recognized it, and it was good, and we did finish the right way.
All right, well, we need to take another break here on the Black and Gold Report. When we come back, we're still talking with head coach Shane Richardson. Don't go anywhere. The Black and Gold Report will be right back. Welcome back to the Black and Gold Report presented by Pepsi. I'm Cameron Songer, joined by UNCP head football coach Shane Richardson. Talking about the second half of this past game, showed a lot more promise for your team. The defense forced a fumble near midfield on North Greenville's first possession of the second half. And then the team just kept moving down the field, 32 yards on 8 plays to put your first points on the board, a 5-yard touchdown pass from Patrick O'Brien to Dylan Davis. Did you start to feel a little better about your team and their ability to get back into this game?
I did. I think we came together more as a team on the sideline and just supporting each other. We were a lot more enthusiastic about what we were doing, and so every play that's positive for us starts to build a little bit more momentum, and you could feel that. And it was reassuring to see that our team didn't give up and that we came out and showed some competitive spirit to try to get back in it as best we could. And I thought they did that, and it was good to see that, and definitely proud of the way that we battled in the second half.
The Crusaders went 3 and out on their next 2 possessions, and the Braves looked to be putting together a comeback, drove all the way down the field to the North Greenville 18-yard line on the next possession, but another interception turned the momentum once again. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, you work so hard to try to visualize, hey, we can get back in this and really compete on every play, but we've got to keep it consistent. And then once you have a setback again, it becomes that much more difficult to turn the table there, so to speak. And so, you've got to be able to do it consistently, and you can't just do it for one series or one quarter or one play. It's every single play for all 4 quarters, and that's certainly something that we need to learn and be very in tune to.
Well, early in the fourth quarter now, North Greenville puts their final points on the board, taking a 40-7 lead on a 26-yard touchdown pass. It was the 12th offensive play for the Crusaders that went 15 or more yards in this game. Was seeing all of those big plays one of the more disappointing things for you on Saturday?
Absolutely, Cameron. Our defense hadn't given up those big plays all year long on a consistent basis, and that was very frustrating to watch as a defensive coach. And when we went back and looked, a guy here or there, and it was too bad because we had majority of the guys doing their job most of the time. But good teams are going to expose mistakes that come up, by one person or two people or whatever it is. And we saw that happen, and it was unfortunate. And it was just way too many yards and all too often in that game on Saturday night. And we definitely have to get that fixed, and we'll address that today and make sure that guys are definitely aware of the intensity and the intentional purpose behind not giving up big plays.
UNCP did manage to put the final 10 points of the game on the scoreboard, a 36-yard field goal by Matt Davis and a 21-yard touchdown pass from Patrick O'Brien to B.J. Bunn. Your offense did look a lot better in the second half. Talk about the offense kind of coming through it towards the end.
Yeah, I thought the offense started to do a really good job of just playing well together and having a little bit more chemistry and a little more rhythm, as we talked about. We started to connect and started to be able to just do some things that get some guys in positions to work in space a little more. I think offense still needs to, they need to continue to improve, and we're not where we need to be by any means, but they are showing improvements in different areas, and eventually I think it'll show up in the end results here each Saturday that we move forward.
All right, well, let's look at some individual performances in this one. Patrick O'Brien overcame a slow start to finish the night with 222 yards, 2 touchdowns on 29 of 51 passing with a pair of interceptions. Grade his performance against North Greenville.
I think Pat's improving in a lot of areas. He is doing a good job of seeing the field better. I think he's doing a good job of having some pocket presence and understanding where the rush is coming from. He was on the run a lot on Saturday night, and so with that, it gets him out of his comfort zone, as any quarterback would be, of standing in the pocket. And so he had to run and scramble and try to create things. He did a really nice job of that on Saturday night. He was able to keep his eyes downfield and find some open receivers when some coverages broke down to try to go run after him. So he's athletic enough to escape. He's able to still get the ball downfield and have good vision. I think he's improving on those things. He's still got to be able to make really good decisions every single time he throws the ball. And, we're working with him on a weekly basis, and so I anticipate that he'll come back ready again this week to get better and improve.
All right, Coach, we need to take our last break on the Black and Gold Report. When we come back, we're going to keep talking about those individual performances and look ahead to the homecoming game for UNCP football. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Black and Gold Report presented by Pepsi. Here once again with Shane Richardson, the head coach of UNCP football, talking about some of the individual performances in last week's game against North Greenville. Mike Keck finished with 4 solo tackles against the Crusaders, picked up his 6th sack of the season in the first half. How important has Mike been to the success of your defense all season?
He's been very sound and very solid up front for us. He can play both the run and the pass, and he's big enough and strong enough to stop the run, and he's athletic and quick enough to get a good pass rush for us. And so he's been able to do both for us, which brings great variety to what we can do up front. And so we're very thankful that he's healthy and playing very well right now. He's also a leader for us. He's one of our 4 captains, which we have 2 on defense, 2 on offense. And so he's done a great job of stepping up in that role. And last week he actually won an award where we recognized him as a guy who is demonstrating the standards of the program. And we talk about effort, attitude, coachability, dependability, and that's what it takes to have each guy really be successful. And he has demonstrated that on a consistent basis, done a great job for us.
Another guy who had a solid game on Saturday, junior Matt Davis, trots onto the field, made all 3 kicks for you in this one, including a season-yard, 36-yard field goal midway through the 4th quarter. Talk about the consistency that you've gotten from Matt this season.
Matt's done a great job of focusing on what he needs to do, and as a kicker, very specialized role, and so he takes it very serious. He's hard on himself, and I think that leads to him just trying to fix the things that, to get him better. And so he's been consistent. We need to keep working with him on some kickoffs and that type of thing, but he's been very solid and very sound for us, and I anticipate that he'll continue to get better as we move forward.
All right, well, now looking forward, the Braves will return home again this weekend and highlight homecoming week in Pembroke with a 2 p.m. matchup against 18th-ranked Tuskegee at Grace P. Johnson Stadium. What do you know about the Tigers so far, and what kind of challenges do they present for your team?
The Tigers will be very athletic, very well coached. They are typically a top 25 program, and so they'll have very good athletes running around with a very good scheme and a good winning tradition that they're used to. And so they'll have a lot of pride that they'll come in here with, and I anticipate that they will be ready. And so it's a great challenge for us to step up to, especially coming off a week that we are. And I anticipate that they will be ready for us, and you know, it should be a very good matchup. I'm looking forward to being able to go up against them, and they are certainly a well-recognized name, and so we welcome that challenge.
How do you expect your team to respond in practice this week with that nationally ranked opponent on the schedule?
I think we will respond very well, and I think we've got enough guys that care about what we're doing. They know the sense of urgency that it's going to take, and I think they will welcome a very quality opponent, especially on homecoming, where we want to perform very well for the alumni and you know, some of the former players that'll be back to see us. And we've got a winning tradition here, and we want to make sure that we uphold that. And I think our guys will be ready for that. They'll be hungry after a little bit of a wake-up call from Saturday night, and I anticipate us to bounce back. And really, we're going to just shake it off, and we're going to step up this week, and I look forward to it.
Well, last time your team faced a top 25 opponent, it was the season opener against Winston-Salem State. How much do you guys keep an eye on those rankings, thinking about stuff like that, or do you just take it one game at a time? Winston-Salem, that obviously was a win for you guys, but now playing Tuskegee for the homecoming game, how much does it fire your team up?
I think just innately it does. You know, I try to downplay it with our team because we want to focus on how we play, not who we play, and that's something that we talk about very often. But the polls, the rankings, even their record, and all of the numbers that surround our opponents, we talk very little about that. And I try to make sure that our guys stay focused on what we need to do. And so what we cannot allow this week is to let the hangover from North Greenville just loom over us. And we've got to make sure that we really just put that behind us, learn from it, and now we've got to move forward to say, hey, we're going to be better this week, and we've got a great opponent coming in, and let's take it one game at a time. And it's all about still how we play, not who we play. Respect everything that Tuskegee does, but we're going to try to play our best this play, and this Saturday, hopefully that's going to come into play for all 4 quarters.
All right, Coach, that's all the time we have. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much.
All right, that's all the time we have on the Black and Gold Report. Until next week, go Braves.